It's 6 p.m. here in Korea. Welcome to our newscast. I'm Daniel Che. Let us begin with the headlines. Korea identifies 9 science and technology projects it will foster as future growth engines. Government support will be provided to ensure Korea stays ahead in these sectors. The $1 exchange rate has fallen below the psychologically significant 1100 mark, which could dent the nation's exports and prompt foreign exchange authorities to step in. South Korean fencer Park Sang-young nabs gold in the men's epi event with an unbelievable come-from-behind upset, while American swimmer Michael Phelps begins his golden harvest in Rio. The South Korean government has announced 9 science and technology projects it will foster as future growth engines, with the Pokemon Go phenomenon highlighting the potential of augmented reality, just as AlphaGo did for the artificial intelligence sector. President Park Geun-hye noted new technologies will drive the momentum for Seoul's future economic growth. Song Ji-sun starts us off at the nation's top office.
At the second meeting for science and technology strategies on Wednesday, the government identified 9 sectors it will foster on a national level for future growth, including artificial intelligence, augmented reality, and biopharmaceuticals. President Park said that in times of low growth and with the advent of the 4th Industrial Revolution, Seoul must take the early lead in emerging industries on the global stage.
저는 지금 우리가 당면하고 있는 위기의 해법도 결국은 과학기술에서 찾아야 한다고 생각합니다. 과학기술로부터 이 위기를 극복할 새로운 동력을 얻고 우리 경제의 재도약을 위한 모멘텀을 만들어야 하겠습니다.
The meeting was launched and chaired by the president herself in order to better administer the nation's science and technology sectors. At the first gathering in May, officials laid out plans to revamp Seoul's R&D structure through deregulation. The 9 national projects selected Wednesday will each be led by one team, with cross-ministerial support for greater innovation and efficiency.
각 부처는 지원은 하되 간섭은 하지 않는다는 원칙을 세우고 R&D 사업의 새로운 협업 모델을 만들어야 할 것입니다.
President Park stressed the projects must be developed on a national level and in a preemptive manner with cooperation from both the private and public sectors to keep pace with the fast-evolving future. Song Ji-sun, Arirang News.
The Korean government has laid out a 9-point plan to ensure the nation stays ahead of the curve in our rapidly changing world. Kim Ji-yeon zooms in on the projects that gives us a sneak peek into what Korea could look like in the next 10 to 15 years.
The Ministry of Science, ICT and Future Planning has unveiled 9 strategically important projects to raise Korea's competitiveness in the so-called 4th Industrial Revolution. In the artificial intelligence sector, the ministry plans to support the collaboration of state and private entities for the creation of an AI product and services platform. In the process, it plans to increase the number of software engineers to more than 6,700 by 2019. In the virtual or augmented reality sector, the ministry has unveiled a flagship or 3D platform and content project for the development of higher resolution VR device screens, as well as face and gesture recognition programs for interactive devices. It hopes to reduce Korea's technological gap with the U.S. in the sector from 1.8 years to less than 6 months by 2020. The ministry will carry out policies for the commercialization of autonomous cars by creating a regulation-free zone by 2020 for on-road testing in the southeastern city of Daegu. The ministry also plans to knock up to 40% off manufacturing costs by supporting the production of lighter metal-based materials. It will converge state infrastructure projects in the water, energy, and transportation sectors for the advancement of smart cities and microgrid management run on big data technology. The ministry also plans to make it possible to utilize big data to promote medical services to prevent chronic diseases and increase the chance of survival among cancer patients. The ministry says it will increase its financial support on a case-by-case basis for the development of new biomedicines and increase competitiveness in the biosector. In order to carry out Korea's goal to reduce carbon emissions by 37% by 2030, the ministry plans to aid tech development in the production of methanol, which results from the separation of carbon monoxide from CO2. Last but not least, the ministry is to aid tech development that will help alleviate the chronic issue of ultra-fine dust and create a database to improve air quality forecasts. Kim Ji-yeon, Arirang News.
In the domestic political arena, after being elected the leader of the ruling party yesterday, Lee Jong-hyun wasted no time getting to work. Park Ji-won fills us in on his jam-packed schedule on his first day as Saenuri's chairman.
The ruling Saenuri Party's new chairman Lee Jong-hyun started his first day in his new position with a visit to the Seoul National Cemetery before leading a meeting of the party's governing body, the Supreme Council, at the party headquarters in Yeouido, Western Seoul. Lee said that in his new role, he will focus on the party's attention on what the public wants.
From now on, the Saenuri Party only has one standard, the public. How the public thinks and what they want will be the yardstick for our judgment.
Lee was elected at the party's national convention Tuesday, along with 5 new Supreme Council members. The new council members, the party's floor leader and its chief policymaker, vowed to work together for the sake of the people and the party.
The party will always keep in mind the will of the public, which was expressed in April's general election.
On the other side of the aisle, the main opposition Minju Party expressed concern about the new ruling party leader because of his close ties to President Park Geun-hye, though the party's floor leader tried to turn that concern into hope.
We hope there can be a real change in Korea if the new ruling party leader delivers the public sentiment to the presidential office and changes the president and presidential office.
The new ruling party chairman also met with the main opposition party's interim leader Kim Jong-in in the afternoon, with both vowing to work together in the future.
I believe the ruling party needs to make some concessions in order to lead the parliament, in which the ruling party does not have a majority.
There are so many issues out there, but with regard to the people's livelihoods, the ruling party and the opposition are completely on the same page.
Meanwhile, 6 first-term lawmakers from the Minju Party arrived back in Seoul this afternoon. They had traveled to China for talks on the upcoming THAAD deployment in South Korea, despite intense opposition from the presidential office and the ruling party. They plan to report the results of their visit at the party's general meeting on Thursday. The opposition party will elect a new leader on August 27th. Park Ji-won, Arirang News.
We now know why the UN Security Council could not speak with one voice condemning North Korea for its latest missile provocations. It's confirmed China's opposition to South Korea's missile defense upgrade was the reason. Connie Kim tells us more.
The United Nations Security Council has once again failed to adopt a statement condemning North Korea for its latest missile launch because China wanted the statement to reflect its opposition to South Korea's plan to deploy the THAAD missile defense system to the Korean peninsula. The 15-member council held a closed-door meeting just hours after North Korea launched 2 ballistic missiles last week, one of which landed in Japan's exclusive economic zone for the first time, but failed to agree on a draft statement by the U.S. Beijing had reportedly agreed to expressing regret about Pyongyang's ballistic missile launch and calling on North Korea to abide by UN Resolution 2270. Instead, China proposed to include no new anti-ballistic missile strongholds should be deployed in Northeast Asia by any of the relevant parties on the pretext of the threats posed by North Korea's nuclear and missile programs. China reportedly also rejected expressing regret about where the missiles landed, saying the Council's response should be based on the violation of Security Council resolutions, not where the missile landed. The U.S. and Japan rejected Beijing's proposal that led to dropping the statement adoption. UN Security Council members must reach agreement on a statement in order for it to be adopted. This is not the first time the Security Council has failed to adopt a statement on North Korea. China reportedly blocked statements drafted in July after Pyongyang fired land-based and submarine-launched ballistic missiles in apparent opposition to the THAAD deployment. Seoul's foreign ministry says that it regrets that the UN Security Council statement was not adopted, but added China should abide by the UN Resolution 2270 that slams North Korea and imposes the toughest sanctions on the regime yet. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
Moving on, despite a slight improvement in the jobs market in June, growth slowed again last month in South Korea. This comes as the impact of Korea's corporate restructuring begins to be felt, especially in regions where the country's major shipyards are located. Kim Min-ji breaks down the numbers for us.
Korea's job market showed weak growth in July. Statistics Korea says the country added 298,000 jobs last month from a year ago, bringing the total number of employed to over 26.6 million. July's figure marks a slowdown from June when job growth rose above the 300,000 level for the first time in 3 months.
The slowdown comes on the back of a decline in the manufacturing sector. It saw a dip of 65,000 workers, falling for the first time in 4 years. This is due to slowing exports as well as a slump in the shipbuilding and automobile industries.
The government's ongoing corporate restructuring drive is also taking a toll on specific industries and regions, with the country's shipbuilding hubs bearing the brunt and seeing their jobless rates climb. But this is not all without hope. The youth employment rate edged up to 43.6%, while the youth jobless rate fell to 9.2% from 10.3% in June. While the government has vowed to boost job creation and dull the impact from restructuring through a budget supplement worth roughly $10 billion, experts question the viability of these claims.
Of the supplementary budget, only about $2 billion will be set aside for job creation and another $2 billion for corporate restructuring, so the impact will be limited. It may have a positive effect on related industries in the short run.
Although reshaping faltering industries remains the biggest downside risk for the job market in the latter half of the year, the consensus is that the country needs more policies to support youth employment.
Experts say in the long run, the government needs to come up with more substantial measures to create better quality jobs for young people, and only then can it be considered tangible progress in the job market. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
The Korean won reached its strongest level in more than a year, becoming the second best performing currency in Asia after the Malaysian ringgit. But a strong won could also imply bad news for local exporters already facing uncertainties of the sluggish global export market. Kim Il-sung has the details.
1,095.4. That's how the Korean won closed on Wednesday's session against the U.S. dollar, below the 1,100 mark and the lowest level since June 2015. This comes as the local won extended gains after Standard & Poor's upgraded Korea's sovereign credit rating to a record high of AA on Monday, leading to a growing appetite for Korean shares and an inflow of foreign capital. The weakening of the dollar is another reason.
The value of the dollar fell over the last couple of months, with global markets assuming that the U.S. won't hike rates by September this year based on poor economic indicators.
The Korean won has now become the second best performing Asian currency in emerging markets so far this year, after Malaysia's ringgit. But this could be bad news for Korean exporters who have been posting negative growth for more than 19 consecutive months. And a stronger won can only fuel concerns of losing global competitiveness.
Korean manufacturers of semiconductors and steel pay with dollars. If the won continues to strengthen, profits are only bound to drop.
The 1,100 mark is widely considered a psychologically important barrier, and analysts expect the continuous strengthening of the won could soon trigger intervention from foreign exchange authorities. Kim Il-sung, Arirang News.
Team South Korea earned a dramatic gold in men's fencing, and American swimming legend Michael Phelps added 2 more gold medals to his already massive collection. The upsets, the scores, the results, and what to look forward to in Rio. Here's our Yoon Shin.
Atop the podium, beaming with pride, Korea's Park Sang-young could barely contain his elation. The 20-year-old fencer had defeated Geza Imre of Hungary 15-14 to bring Korea its 3rd gold of the Rio Olympics and its very first in épée. Leading 14-10, Imre, the world number 3, was just a point away from victory. But in a stunning comeback, Park, who's ranked 21st, scored 5 points in a row to seal a historic victory. On top of Park's golden performance, Team Korea's Jang Hae-jin and Lee Seung-yoon on Tuesday smoothly fired their way into the round of 16 in the women's and men's individual archery events. But Korea wasn't the only big winner of the day. American swimming legend Michael Phelps grabbed 2 golds, first in the 200-meter butterfly and then in the 4x200-meter relay. Phelps, already the most decorated Olympian in history, now owns 21 gold medals from the Games. But the biggest shock of the day came when Serena Williams, the world number 1, was defeated by 20th-ranked Elina Svitolina from Ukraine. The 34-year-old was the likely gold medalist this year, but she now exits the Olympics. 이은신, Arirang News.
That concludes our newscast for this hour. More updates coming your way at 10 p.m. Korea time. Thank you for watching.